Hello and welcome to ReCall The Midwife. We are a fan podcast. Every week we watch an episode called The Midwife and we talk about it. Today we are watching the Series 10 Christmas special. I'm Becky.
I'm Alex.
I'm Jen. A quick reminder that this week's episode deals with adoption, drug abuse and drug addiction, traumatic birth, and grief and loss. So if those topics are ones you prefer to skip this time, we understand and hope you join us for the next one. This is a long synopsis, everyone. This week, it's Christmas at Nonnatus house. In the lead up to the holiday, Lucille and Cyril and everyone in the community are preparing for their wedding on Boxing Day. Violet is working on the dress, and Fred and Reggie are helping Cyril. Phyllis informs everyone that they are taking on more patients over the holiday, and they realize they will be busy with home births, district work, and caring for mothers in the maternity home. Trixie and Matthew meet up when she is helping a mother in labor who lives in one of the buildings he owns. He sticks around, and they walk back to Nonnatus house together and share plans for the upcoming holiday. Sheila talks with Patrick about her feelings about May and her early childhood before she joined the Turner's family. When Dr. Turner is called out on an emergency visit, he goes to the home of the Page family. Mr. Page seems to run some shady business, but Tom notices Anita, Mrs. Page, the same expectant mother that ran out on Sister Julianne when she came in for her second only check-in. We learn that Charlie Page lost a brother to drug addiction, and when Anita Page goes into labor and then has her baby, she is finally forced to confront her own addiction, both the root of it and its consequences. Meanwhile, Sister Frances delivers her first breech baby. Trixie gets help from Dr. Turner for a forceps birth, and then Sister Hilda gets assistance from Dr. Turner for a mother suffering a hemorrhage during her birth. Mother Mildred comes to Nonnatus house for the holiday and upon visiting the maternity home offers advice and expertise on how to care for Charlie and Anita's baby. Sheila learns that May had a similar beginning and she takes the chance to vicariously help her own daughter by caring for this baby girl. With wedding preparations ramping up, there are some bumps in the road. The men switch around roles as Fred goes from best man to giving Lucille away. Matthew steps in as chauffeur, and Lucille suffers a black eye from drunkenly falling on the steps after her hen do. Luckily, all is resolved happily before the wedding, and Cyril and Lucille begin their life together on Boxing Day, 1966. Girls, did I get it all? My
Well
goodness.
done.
It was a very interwoven episode today.
Yes.
Lots of themes they mentioned at the start that happened to the end, and all different themes.
Exactly.
I cannot think of anything worse than organising a wedding over Christmas.
Oh my God.
I mean,
No
I can
way.
think of worse. I'm not gonna lie, I can think of worse things, but it's not something I'd want to do.
I just think it would be hard to, I mean, I can only imagine like the logistical nightmare, especially like the last couple of weeks beforehand, because people go on vacation, people are at the office, people are on different hours than they usually
Yeah, but
are
the poor
on.
vicar as well. Like, how overworked is the vicar? And then to be doing a wedding the next day. Like, oh,
I know. He'd be like running around ragged, absolutely. But we've had this is like what is it? Like this is like our fourth Christmas wedding on this show.
yeah.
Everybody on this show
They love it
loves to
on
get married.
TV and soaps, don't they? A Christmas
I
wedding.
know. You'd think if you watch television that like 50% of people had Christmas weddings.
One
Like,
of my
you
good
really
friends got
would.
married on the 20th of December,
Oh my
and
God.
that's the closest person I know about any weddings to do with Christmas. I don't know anyone else actually on Boxing Day, or they always seem to do it on New Year's Eve
Oh, I'd love a New Year's wedding.
oh well, let's plan it.
Wait, New
Um,
Year's Day?
New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. Either.
Either way.
you don't
Yeah,
want New Year's Day because everyone's going to be hungover.
Not at
yeah.
our
Do you
age.
know New Year's Eve because you get married and then you have the party and then you ring in the new year.
Yeah, that should be the what. Like the next day would be rubbish.
Yeah.
Nurse Crane and Miss Higgins doing the Cub Nativity was absolute comedy gold. The sheet
Um,
barring was just me. I did that because I was supposed to be an angel. I'm sure I've said this on the podcast before, but I was supposed to be an angel, but I got mumps, so then I couldn't be there for rehearsals. All I had to do was stand there, so I don't really know what I have to rehearse for when I was 4. But my best friend Lara was the angel and not me, and I was a sheep again, and I was the loudest sheep you've ever seen. That was me, those kids.
I remember being a shepherd and have I told this on the pod before? I didn't really want to be a shepherd. I don't know why I wanted to be an angel because I was like the shyest thing. I probably didn't even want to be on the stage. But I remember we had that, like the glitter gel stuff you put on your face.
Yeah, you should love
So
that.
so the teacher put that on me. So I was a shepherd with a glittery face.
Oh, yeah, but you can see you were a little girl. You wanted to be an angel. They were more glam,
Yeah.
weren't they?
They only should have put the glitter on the angels. That doesn't make sense.
Jen,
Sorry, but I mean, doesn't.
I mean, it's
that's
like flipping heck. I was going to call you
That's
glitter Nazi, but I don't think
hard.
I don't think right now is the time to set a joke about Nazis.
No, unfortunately, it's too real.
I
Sorry.
mean, not that we should anyway, really. Fred's pants splitting. Lols. The way he kept
Wait.
showing his bum.
Oh my God, to everybody. Also, I wrote a note because he goes to Fred's because Violet's like, I don't have time to fix your pants. Figure it out. So he runs over to Cyril's and he's like, my pants split. Help me. And then like literally the lady who's like the church lady that like runs
Is it
everything
Mrs.
with
Watson?
Cyril. Yeah, she goes, come over here and bend over. And I was like, ma'am, like you are not gonna sew those pants with him in them. Like I just was so scandalized. That was the most insane thing to say. But also, guys, before we fast forward to the nativity, did you notice all the sponsorship?
Yeah, I
Like
loved it. The
literally
haberdasher is on the crib.
the whole stage was covered with like print ads,
It's
basically. They had
amazing.
like it was like billboarded out and it was
They
just so
raised
hilarious
29
to me.
pounds by doing that, Jen.
I know. Listen, we're making this is,
I
get that
did
bank. This is
I
the
did
time.
notice that the audience was so spaced out.
Yeah,
You know
same.
what? I'm gonna be real. That bothered me. That bothered me. I get that it was COVID, but like it just was so obvious. Dr. Turner and Sheila, like they're in every scene together. If they're gonna, they should just be sitting close together. Like at this point,
Yeah.
you've been around each other so much. Just sit next to each
Yeah, but at the
other.
same time, there was literal laws and protocol they had to follow.
I know, but it's crazy. I'm sorry. It's crazy. Like this is
Yeah,
where
but
I'm
there was
just like,
literally proof they were recording it. So if there was like action taken against them and stuff.
I know, but this is where like the hindsight of like all of us having lived through it is like so crazy to me because I'm like if you're like because I'm sure they had bubbles, right? Like I'm sure they were like cloistered together and everything like that. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to get into COVID because it's like too depressing and it's not worth it. But like it was weird to me like the spacing of some scenes, like the scene where not to jump ahead, but like the scene where Cyril and Lucille run to each other and they literally like just grasp hands, but then like stay like completely outstretched arms away from each other and they don't do anything
Outside as
else.
well.
I was just like, you guys, come on,
I
like
actually I really enjoyed that scene for how the fact that it was outside. Do you know what I mean? Like I think they got really creative with how they were actually going to try and
Yeah,
get
I
them to have a
like that
close
scene.
scene.
Now I
no.
think about it, Lucy had those massive mittens on.
Yeah.
So there was
They
no skin on skin contact.
They did the best they could, and I know that that's true, but like it's crazy. Like these two people are young and in love. They literally they're 2 days away from their wedding. Like there's no way on earth that these two people wouldn't have like at least hugged each other. I mean,
Well,
I'm
there was
sorry.
a way on
No.
Earth, and that was because of COVID.
I
But
know, but it's not COVID. I'm sorry. It's just crazy. Made me
but the
crazy.
hindsight of it is that we were all so desperately trying to follow the rules and regulations, and the British government was not.
But
Yeah.
also, like, I mean, and again, this is like something we couldn't have known at the time. But like, again, like, did it really make a difference? I mean, at that point, if you're already in the company of those people all the time, you know what I mean? Like, if you're doing all the, like, anyways, now this is just evolving into like a COVID
Yeah, I was about
podcast.
to
But
say, was this
but here's
it's not
but here's the question though: when did you guys actually get the vaccine? Because I think we had the vaccine by
you had
2021.
it before us.
Wait, I've got my purses next to me, and I've still got my COVID vaccination card.
I think I got vaccinated in spring of 2021.
I've lost it. I don't know
Like
why I
April,
received.
maybe?
I had a bit of paper that said when I got vaccinated. I
But
don't
roughly when? Do you guys remember when you guys got the vaccines?
Nah.
know.
Huh. Okay. Well, I mean, I guess it doesn't matter, but anyways, so Fred goes over to her and he lets her sew his bum rip and everything. And then they're running around. But quickly we shift because they're so overloaded with so much work because they have like 80,000 mothers to take care of. And they're all like in the end of their term.
Yeah, and they said, "Oh, what happened in March of 1966?" So I looked it up, and there was a
What?
general election. But aside from that, it was a landslide win for Labour. I didn't know if they were referencing that, but I thought that's not going to make everyone go and get prayer. I don't know, maybe it will, but
Maybe. Who
I think
knows?
I think there wasn't anything in particular happening.
no.
Was there a great
Well, I was looking for World Cup, but that
power
was in July.
outages? No, not World Cup. You need like power outages. The Great Storm, something like
Well, also,
that.
if the World Cup, they're all celebrating because they
Yeah,
won,
but
didn't they?
sometimes the men would get too much and then it's not going to work
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
Well, anyway, it wasn't right anyway. It was July, so that's
You need something where
18
people are
months
going
ago
to
alone.
hunker down together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
blitz, nothing like a blitz.
I think it's Sister Julie, and she's like, we'll never know, or something like moving on, like she just was like, Nancy, she's like, we really don't need this girl. Like, we're not talking about people's sex lives on this show.
Yeah, it's like read the room, Nancy. I love you, but read the
Nancy's never gonna read a room ever in her whole life. She's like just a continual non-room reader, but
Jen.
Oh, yeah. Well, we'll talk about a scene with her actually. So,
yeah.
which storyline are we doing first? Should we do
Anita.
Yes, that's what I was going to suggest.
Yes.
So we need
Oh.
Mrs. Anita Page. Now, can I just say, she looked really thin and she looked really pale, but those tights did her no favors.
Oh, also, you guys, her bump was the worst Call the Midwife bump of any bump. Like it was the saddest circular couch cushion bump that I have ever seen. It was like at one point it was like literally she had her whole arm in it. She like pressed down. At one point it was like her bump had gone off to the side. Like it wasn't even in the same center part of her body. It was like hanging to the right. Her bump was so ridiculous and I just could not with that
So
bump.
we
I
meet
really
her
could
at the
not.
clinic and she goes and has Sister Julienne. And Sister Julienne's like, she doesn't really know where to go either with the clinic either because she's only been once before, hasn't she?
Well, you could tell she's anxious about the urine test because even Trixie says like, "Here's the bottle, you can do it," and she's like, like she's already nervous.
But we don't know why at this point. So Sister Julienne's
Hmm.
concerned about anemia. She's like, we're going to do a test. Anyway, she scarpers. And then she's being sick in the gutter. And I don't know if you two thought this, but I thought about that hyperemesis gravidarum or whatever it's called.
Oh, that
It's
Kate,
like Harry Potter
Princess Kate
spell.
had that.
That
Yeah,
does sound like a prop spell. I said it really wrong. I can't remember what it's called.
you're right. I
But
think it's something like that. Yeah, yeah. Didn't
uh,
didn't Princess Kate have that?
yeah, she did. I think we'll
Hmm.
call her Princess of Wales, Catherine, Her Royal Highness in this podcast. I'm joking. So,
Oh, Kath. Oh, she's great. Oh, Kathy.
oh, that Kathy, she had that. So yeah, yeah. But I thought it was that first because obviously she was being sick in a gutter, and then she put some lipstick on. I thought, all right, a bit weird.
Oh, you guys, when she had the vomit on the side of her face and then she like looked in the compact and she didn't take out a tissue to even wipe it. She just like wiped it with her hand and then there was still like a chunk left and then she just like smeared that pink frosted lipstick on her face. Oh my God. I'm not like a crazy germaphobe, but that really sent me. I'm like, gal, get a breath mint. Something like it was
Yeah,
so
but that just shows you done it, the
it was
effect it was
so
having on her.
I know.
Yeah.
It was so rank. Like,
So then
oh.
Dr. Turner gets called out and Tim decides to go with him. Tim seems so young in this. I know he's only 18, but he just seemed so young in this scene. So Mrs.
He
Anita
did.
Turner let him into the flat and it was just full of all these men. I thought, what is going on? I thought, is she a
And they
sex
were wearing
worker?
the shiniest suits ever.
They really were these gangsters. So basically, one of her husband's associates, her husband seems to be like a head of a gang, doesn't he? Basically, like a
Yeah.
mob
He's
gang.
Basically,
like,
yeah.
yeah,
And one of his gang has been stabbed in the
stabbed
But
neck.
what did
wait,
I say?
head? Did you say head?
Neck.
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 Did I
Well,
say
it's like
stab?
you
Yeah,
said
yeah, I've been
stab.
stabbed
Oh
in the
right,
neck.
right. I was
But
thinking,
you
did I
know,
say stab?
but you know what he seems like? He seems like one step worse than remember the guy who like had all the toasters in the apartment and the wife was like, "You
Harry.
gotta get him out
Yeah.
of here."
I bet
Like
he
it's
worked for him, Jen. I bet he
yeah,
worked for him.
it was like that's the more illegal guy of the two guys. But yeah.
I think as we encounter gangsters, they get progressively worse, don't they?
Well,
Yeah.
did you also get the feeling that maybe they said it explicitly and I just walked out for this bit, but I got the feeling that he was the one pushing the heroin around the area?
No.
No,
He
Oh, I thought it
hated
was his
it.
gang who were doing it.
No, 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 no. I get
because
the go ahead, Bex.
well, his brother died of an overdose, so he was like really anti-drug.
Yeah, I know
Yeah,
he was
he was like,
anti
I
him
hate that
taking
stuff.
it, but I thought he was taking the money from it.
No, no, no. I thought he was more into the like gambling or like, like larceny or, just so like financial crimes or like those kind of things. When he said, "Oh, we were working all night," I was like, "Well, yeah, you were probably like,
Well,
doing
stealing stuff
something."
from a warehouse because they had all them suits.
Yeah, I just don't think he would have traded in drugs if he was like so anti-drug.
But
Like,
anyway,
I mean,
it's
because he even
it's
said
go
anyway, but
on. No, I don't
I
know. I still think he might have been pushing it, but not wanting to take it. Anyway, that's by the by. So he offered a suit to Timothy as a thank you because his mate was fine. He was a right wimp with the
see, Luke,
TCP.
see, he had suits that were just like on offer. So that's what I'm saying.
That's what
Like,
I'm
I
saying.
just
I
think
think
it's
he stole them from a warehouse that night, but I just don't think I wouldn't put it past him to be pushing the heroin. Well,
anyway.
Didn't get that
if you're a
vibe.
writer if you're a writer of Call the Midwife, tell us if you tried to intimate that or not.
Like, what were you trying to have him be the
Yeah. So
criminal?
anyway, they offer Timothy a suit, right? They also offer Timothy a rum and coke, which I was
Coke,
loving.
rum Coke, which
He's
by
like,
the
oh,
way,
I like it.
girls,
But he offers
when
Timothy a suit, and they're like, no. But then Dr. Turner's like, I will take a mincemeat slice. I thought, let him have the bloody suit, Dr. Turner.
But he does take the suit.
No,
he
he doesn't.
does he does because at the end when they're walking down the stairs, he's like, "Oh, that suit's gonna be really hard to explain."
Yeah.
No, he said
Because
that suit
Dr.
would have been really hard to explain
Oh,
because they didn't have a suit with
No.
them. They didn't. I've checked.
No, I know they didn't have it with them, but I don't know. I don't know. Something I made me think he took the
A
suit.
suit would have been really hard to explain to your mum.
But wait, two things though. First off, love a rum and coke. I honestly have not had one in like way, way too long, and it's making me nostalgic. Second
I
of
had one the
all,
other night.
that apartment was so perfectly dressed, so
Yeah,
perfectly like set up. It was the most Evie, but also like someone spent a lot of money on this stuff, but also it was like so hip kind of thing. Like I mean, he even had the cloche for like the cheese on toast that he made her. Like it was
yeah.
just
And
the
it was
set
dark
dressing.
to represent the seediness, dark
Absolutely.
of
And
the
like the
world
way
that he
that they all
belongs in.
had like the slick back hair and everything, it was just perfect. And then when they bring that gift basket the next day, because now basically Dr. Turner is turned into like a mob doctor.
Yeah.
And they're like, "You're all right, mate. Like, here's for your troubles, sonny." And like it's just they bring this whole basket and it's just got 1,000 things in it. I love
Sheila
Sheila
and
and
Miss
Miss
Higgins'
Higgins
reaction. It was
Oh my
going
amazing.
God.
off.
Those two can be bought so easily. What in the world made them think that that was absolutely above board? Perfume.
Well,
Oh,
she's like, "Oh, a touch of amber wood and Kypra."
But they were literally like giggly, like, like it
I
was
know.
amazing.
Well, when they found the rum, Sheila was like, "No, it's not sherry, it's rum." And then Sister Hilda was on that because of what happens
Well,
later.
yeah. Also, love
Oh,
Timothy's coat, his red parka like Paddington Bear.
yeah.
So
Yeah. But
anyway,
so
Timothy and Dr. Turner are leaving the building and Anita's behind them. And I thought she was going to go to him like, oh, something like,
like help
I'm being
me
sick
or
all the
yeah.
time or he's poisoning my food or something. Because I just thought, why is she not wanting him to see? Anyway, she goes into the laundry, which I
well,
quite like the fact they had a key to get into it as well. It was quite exciting.
at this point, I did not know what was going on. And I'll tell you what I thought. I thought she didn't want to put on weight because they said that she hadn't put on a lot of weight. And I
Yeah.
thought she was feeling the pressure, like not to let herself go and things.
Yeah, because she's
Not
always
that I'm
very
saying
heavily
that
made up.
people let themselves
Girls,
go. I'm just
I
saying that
thought
that's what.
Yeah.
sorry. I thought she was gonna be another one with like weird eating things.
Yeah.
Because remember the girl who ate the charcoal? I thought she was gonna have like another freaky food that she was
Okay.
eating that was like making her sick. And
And then
then
she
it
opened
was
up a
gonna
heroin tin and you were like, oh,
and I was like, oh, darn it. Well, also like did not call this one because I mean I
I was
remember this
not
episode, but
expecting that. Yeah.
I didn't expect that, but I also was like, dang, the husband is like not a villain. Like even though he's like the shadiest character on earth, he's like the
I mean, hang
sweetest and
on,
best.
he is a villain.
Well, I mean, he's a villain, like I
Oh,
guess
but
in
he's just
general
a
terms, but like in
kind-hearted
terms of
one.
the show, he was like a good guy. I'm sorry, I was like here for
No, he
Charlie. Like,
was, he was, because I thought so. Right, let's talk about this first.
yeah,
Yeah.
So he,
Oh, I was so annoyed with her. When her waters broke on the stairs,
oh,
she goes upstairs. He's been talking to his mum, who just thinks she needs some more milk in her life. So he's made her cheese on toast, bless him. If someone made me cheese on toast, honestly, that's it. They'd have me. But her waters have just broken, and he
well,
there's
and
nothing.
how she's got
she's high as
on.
a kite, though. By the way, never forget.
Yeah, I think that's probably why.
Oh yeah, because she was like, I've got ages, and I was like, what makes you think you've not got ages? How are you going to explain that away?
Well, he doesn't. I mean, he's clearly as dumb as all the regular dads that doesn't know like how long person is
Well,
pregnant
also,
for
by the
or
way,
whatever like that.
in the meantime, they brought one of the henchmen in who's had a heroin overdose, and Dr. Turner's screaming, shouting, angry with them. But then
Yeah.
this is where Mr. Page talks about his brother dying last year because of heroin with a needle in his arm, and he hates heroin. So
Well,
that's hence why she's doing it illicitly.
because here's the thing, to your point though, is that they say to him like, "Oh, you're drug running, like, you guys are all doing drugs all night or whatever." And he's like, "No." He's like, "We love to drink, but we would never touch that stuff." Like,
Yeah, he doesn't
I,
touch it. I think he doesn't touch it, Jen.
I just don't
I think he
I'm
might be
not
pushing it around the place to make money because that's what these illicit gangs do, Jen. They're criminals. They do naughty things. Just
Oh,
I
because
don't
no,
know.
I
I
don't
just
it
wasn't
himself.
getting like drug
think.
dealer from him. I was just getting like
I'm getting the fact they
other
had all that money. I did.
No, that's from the suits.
Not just the suits, Bex.
I just don't think it was drugs. I don't know. Something about like
We'll
he's
have to
just
agree to disagree here, guys.
he was so adamant. I don't know.
Yeah, he
Okay,
didn't
anyways,
like
it doesn't
taking the
matter,
drugs
but
himself. Doesn't mean he wouldn't want to push it around and make a load of money off him.
okay. Anyways,
But
but
then I think it
either
would have been
way.
easier for Anita to get hold of the drugs, and she just said,
No,
like,
because she knows he hates it so much. She has to do it on the down low anyway, doesn't she? And if his
Mm.
associates are doing it, where are they getting it from? They're probably pushing it themselves. All I'm saying is it's very easy to get drugs in this dark underworld, girls. So anyway, she's in labour, but then keeps it quiet. I'm sorry, I did. That could not be me because I was like, ah.
Oh my God, it's
So she
ridiculous.
goes to Nonnatus' house.
Oh, wait a minute. I thought you were going to say the thing that irritated you, Becky, was that she like literally like had her waters break on the stairs and then just didn't do anything and like it was left for other people to discover
Well, that
as like
irritated me that
a
she
bi
didn't do
Oh,
anything.
Someone could slip on that.
but wait a minute. Also, we didn't. Okay, I wrote this in my
That's
notes.
not the point, then.
Here's another thing that drove me crazy. So Dr. Turner is stitching up that man with the neck stab wound or whatever, like that. And then he's like, "Oh, you're gonna be fine. Like the stitches are done. Like just take this medicine and then like call me in a week or whatever, like that." And then the guy's like, "Oh, great job, doctor." He's like, "Put her there," and he sticks his hand out. And Dr. Turner, by the way, with a blood talk about biohazard. Okay, like we were talking about COVID earlier. Dr. Turner with a bloody rubber gloved hand.
Yeah, but
Shakes
again,
his hand.
he had a rubber hand, so they weren't touching. He had a rubber glove on. That's why they did that scene.
But it's crazy. I'm like, that just is there's like it just that irritated me
I
so
thought it was clever
much.
of the writers to be able to do
No,
that, though.
I'm sorry. That is just so bad. That is so bad. I'm sorry. Maybe it wasn't bad
Yeah,
for
but
the
also,
time
that Jen, he was annoyed at having to go there, and he's like, "Take some biohazard, you piece of crap."
I just was like that
That was his
like,
defiance.
that was the most unsanitary thing I have seen in so like I just was so disappointed in that. I thought that was terrible.
Well, I
Sorry.
liked it. I liked it as a kick in the eye, in the what's the word? Something in the
Kick in the
eye.
teeth.
Yeah, kick in the teeth or something in the eye.
I just wasn't fussed on this husband. I like thought he was nice. I like his violent side wasn't. I don't know. It didn't.
I
I
mean,
was like,
apart from him being, yeah, but he was
I
great.
just didn't. Yeah, I don't know. Like it just didn't. He was a nice husband to his wife and his kid, and that was like all I really cared about.
So
I
anyway, so
guess.
she goes to Nonnatus house, and then they send her straight to the maternity home, and she has a little girl who's £4.10. They're like, oh, she's very small, right?
And
And
she
basically,
looked tiny.
she did. She did. And the mum
Yeah.
was
Well,
small,
she
so
was a
sometimes
tiny
they
lady
wouldn't worry
too.
about it normally because the mum was quite slight and stuff. Do you know what I mean? And she hadn't had loads
Yeah.
of prenatal sons, so they didn't know, she was small. So sometimes people do have small babies at term. Do you know what I mean?
Charlie comes in to visit her. I need to talk about this because what was the lady called that was in the maternity home?
Oh, she was horrible. Enid Howes.
When she comes out in front of Charlie and says, I have just lost the biggest mucus plug.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Oh my God. There was just so much like gross body stuff this time. Ugh.
So also just before that scene as well, she spoke about the fact that when they basically discovered that the baby was screaming, crying loads, and they were also
Yeah.
noticed that Anita, they thought she had an infection and that the baby was infected.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then was it Mother Mildred who said it that they could be withdrawal, or did they
No,
discover
no,
it
Dr.
first
Turner
and then
already
she
knew. Dr.
right
Turner
right.
already knew by that point, yeah.
So then she spoke to
I
him
thought,
about growing up in care. Oh, sorry, Bex, go on.
I thought she'd just confessed all to Dr. Turner, but did he know from the other heroine guy?
Well, no, because remember Trixie says like, "Oh, the baby's not doing too well," and she'd already rejected like doing breastfeeding. And then I think it's either Trixie and Phyllis, I think it was. They were like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm worried about this baby," and then Trixie's like, "Well, I'm already worried about the mother too." And she was already going into withdrawal anyway, and she was really like struggling and like sweating and like she had her legs drawn up to her chest and all that kind of stuff.
But
And
I
then
thought
that's when
just,
they talked to her and she told about her past, and then Dr. Turner comes and gives her,
but I thought that Sister
They did.
Julianne and Trixie thought that she had an infection from a
Yeah, they
water
did.
early.
I think they might have thought that, and I think they might have told her that to kind of like chill her out a little bit. But either if they genuinely didn't know it, they figured it out quick.
Well,
Yeah.
now I think that Trixie and Sister Julianne thought that, but then I think Dr. Turner came in and was like, hang on, we've just had somebody else overdose on heroin.
Yeah, so maybe put two and two together and got the right answer. But so basically, then they have this really touching scene where Anita spoke about her mum, how she was a child in care of the sister.
Oh, this
and
made
it was
me
really
sad.
touching. It was really sad. Her mum was an alcoholic and stuff, and she's like, I've basically done this to my daughter because obviously the baby's now at risk of being taken away, isn't she? And the husband was so understanding, considering
Oh my
his
God.
gangster boss.
I thought he was going to lose his.
Same.
This is what I'm telling you. This is why I really like Charlie, because he's really sweet about it. He's like, I would do anything for you, and I would do even more for her, meaning the baby.
Yeah, and then he was
I
like, you
thought
need to
he was
kick the
gonna-
gear, a bit like, basically, if you don't do anything, I'm taking the kid.
Well, and then
I
she's like,
thought
I'll
he was gonna
try.
kick her out, just like flat out kick her out because she was on the stuff.
Yeah.
He was so lovely. I mean,
But
obviously he's a criminal.
A man who makes cheese on toast for you is not just going to kick you out.
Yeah, but
No.
also he
Okay.
said that comment about his brother. He was like, hating him for it and being angry about him for it is easier than missing him.
And
So
being
that's the emotion I
sad.
kind of go with. And I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. And, like, don't get me wrong, he was lovely. He was lovely then. Like, I don't think he's great for, stealing
Well,
soup.
he was really sweet. Like, in every time that it was about them, he was very sweet. He was, a very sensitive man.
And that's what you want in a gangster, isn't it?
I'm telling you, this is the stuff of
I
about
want a
45.
mincemeat. I want a mincemeat slice from a gangster, absolutely. And a rum and
Like,
coke. I'd have a rum and coke and a mincemeat slice from a gangster anytime. And cheese on
45,000
toast.
You want cheese on toast. You want mincemeat, not cheese on toast from a gangster.
I want both. And a rum and coke. Give me it all.
Oh, can you imagine if you came home and your gangster husband had a rum and coke for you on ice waiting, and then he's like, "Babe, I've made cheese on toast and I've got mince pies."
I mean, I've got a husband who's not a gangster who probably would do that, to be fair, but
Has he done
I
it
think I
though?
prefer the non-gangster, if I'm honest. Although it will be useful being having a load of suits and a 38 chest. So now let's talk really quick, because obviously to end this, we need to talk about Sheila.
And May.
Yes.
Oh, and just to say, like, really quick though, like, Anita is gonna have to get clean. They're also calling child welfare because the fact that the child was born addicted to drugs is like automatic. Like, they got a call, and they're gonna have to do an investigation and like take care of this little baby, and then see if she can rejoin the home. And so they are gonna be okay, but like with difficulty. But I think they will be okay. So, anyways,
And he's
now
like, I
about the
hate the
baby.
authorities. And she's like, well, they're
Yeah.
in your life now, mate. Sorry.
Well, yeah, she sacrificed that freedom like when she did what she did. But
So at the start of the episode, the Turners are talking really quickly about May, saying how settled she is. And they were talking about how there's like a missing piece of the puzzle, a bit like with the Reggie and the babies, the.
Can I say, though, so I know I'm skipping ahead here. Christmas Day, Dr. Turner gets called out. The kids are on the steps of Nonnatus' house because they don't want their dad to leave. Why did May have a red jumper on and the other two had cream jumpers on?
I thought the exact same thing. It was Angela or Ted should have had the red jumper. It was so crazy to me that she made identical except red for May. It was just so weird.
Maybe May is like my daughter and just absolutely ridiculous on colours. My daughter will only wear black pretty much. Maybe she's like that about red.
I know, but then Sheila should have made them like a white one, a red one, and a green one or something. Like, it just made May look like she stuck out. Like, which of these things does not belong to the other? You know what I mean?
That is absolutely what she should have done, Jen.
Yeah.
Red, green, and white.
And BT Dubs, we're going to have a discussion about all the knitwear in this episode because I have a lot of feelings about it. Okay? It's coming. Get ready.
Anyway, so Sheila was basically saying how she felt really sad that she didn't get to see that part of May's life. And now, then, not Sister Monica Jane, what's her name? Miriam Margolyes, what's her name?
Oh, Mother Mildred. Mother Mildred.
Turns up, so she's here for a visit, which was lovely.
Turns up on a milk float.
By the way, I love her when she was like, "Sir, how many quarts of milk will you be willing to donate for free so that we can have hot cocos together?" And
no
he
one
was
says
like,
quarts,
no, a milk. They were having a Milky Nescafe.
Oh, quarts. Oh, Milky Nescafe. Okay, sorry, I got it wrong. But still, she did ask for free milk, and I just thought that was great.
Yeah, she's right, cheeky bugger. So anyway, we learn blah 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 because we'll talk about different storylines and stuff. But we learned that May was a withdrawal baby. The Turners learned this, and it was never on a notes or anything. So they've only learned this today.
See, I thought we did know that already, though.
No, we didn't. Well, I didn't know that before today.
Because I thought Mother Mildred had said that part of the problem was that like maybe she'd said it just generally about the Chinese
like
babies that they brought for adoption, but it was like she tries to get clean, then she gets the baby, then she falls off again, and it's kind of like this back and forth, and that's why May is older and da da da.
That doesn't necessarily mean the baby was.
I don't think they ever said about the drugs, did they? I think it was. I don't think
an expert. I do think they kind of intimated that kind of lifestyle.
But maybe we just didn't know that May herself had gone through that as a baby.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
so
fair.
Sheila decided that she wanted to administer the drugs and hold the baby so she wasn't alone. And
Sheila.
Also, they called the baby Paige, and I just wanted to be called Paige. I don't know why. And the baby was being transferred to the hospital, and Sheila was going to go and help her, and it was just really cute. But then Sheila turned up at her aunt's house, so I got really confused. I was like, "What? When? What?"
Well, Sheila is like I don't know. She's like Wonder Woman or whatever. She literally can go anywhere, be anywhere, do anything. Like it's like she's never like totally burnt out and absolutely having a mental breakdown, like from having to manage 5,000 million things. Like it's just I don't know how she does it. And this is another episode where it's just like, ma'am, because like she literally was cooking all of Christmas dinner. You know she knitted those sweaters. She was helping Dr. Turner. She was like running the maternity clinic. She went to the hen do. Wait, did she go to the hen do? I don't know. But she was just doing everything. And it was just like, there's no way on earth. There's no way on earth.
Yeah. True.
But she still did it. Oh, and then she did the whole nativity play.
Yeah.
She was there for that.
Who should we talk about now?
Oh, wait, do we finish? I thought you were going to say more about Sheila doing that for the baby.
Nah, that's it.
Well, well, I'll just say
Not too much to cover.
It was a lot of healing for her. So that's, I think, what I took from it was like this,
Yeah,
because she says
good.
she's like this is my way of taking care of May and like traveling back in time to help her, which I thought was really sweet. So anyways, good for her. Yeah.
Should we talk about another birth really quick? Shall
one?
we talk about Mrs. Chew, Mrs. Susan Chew's Christmas Day baby?
Oh, yeah, this was like such a small storyline, but it was so sweet.
But it just annoyed me because at the start, I literally wrote a note at the start where Sister Francis was talking, because they were talking about different traditions, weren't they? Which I loved.
Yeah.
It was a really lovely a lovely scene about old traditions. And they were talking about lunar cycle tides and water in the women's room, talking about how it's going to be so busy on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
And if it's not a full moon, it won't be. And it was a really lovely discussion. And Trixie was talking about the tradition of putting a knife into the bed to cut delivery pains. And then Sister Julienne said about a baby born breech will grow up to be a healer. And Sister Francis was saying that she was a breech baby, but that she never had one.
It at that point.
Yeah, I did as well. I was like, well, that's her having a breech baby today then. And we were right.
Oh, you guys are smarter than me. I missed that.
She was so calm and collected.
Hey!
I'm joking.
I know.
Poor Susan Chew, though, it's the sort of thing I would do, saving new sheets to put on the bed, which were a wedding present.
Oh, God.
Thank goodness they weren't white.
Yeah. And
I did think the sheets were beautiful, though. I love that teal color.
I tell you what I did love, though. So Sister Francis looked really terrified. And then she got Mr. Chew to ring up Nonnatus house, but he couldn't get through. And instead of like ringing again, he just came back and like, can't get through. It's like, go bloody back and get through.
Well, also just run there and like get them or something, Mr. Chew.
So anyway, well, there was no one there to be had because they were all just, everywhere. So Nurse Francis, though, was in control. It was reminiscent of Chummy. Do you remember the one of Chummy on the mum of the bride?
Yeah.
Oh, I loved it. And then she had a baby and it was so cute. It was just really, really cute. And then she said, my first breech. And then she went, Christmas Day, baby. Just changed it really quick. So they weren't like panicked, like, what? Your first breech ever?
Although I will say, I continue to be so mystified by this method. And I don't know if it's still used or how they do it now or whatever, but like to think about pushing out the baby, like the bottom half of the baby, and then basically just have it
now, Jen. If it's breech, they won't let you have it.
I'm sure. But like to then,
but in an emergency situation, if you're in an emergency situation and not in the hospital,
I mean, how often is that happening?
But here's what I wonder though, if like this is
paramedic now as well.
Well, but this is the thing, like and I'm not to say that like they shouldn't do C-sections instead if that's what's best or whatever, but like if you have the experience to know how you potentially could deliver a breech baby if you had to, then if you're losing that and then there is an emergency and anyways, whatever. I'm
sure they teach it, Jen. I'm sure they do.
But just to have the baby like hanging by the neck from this woman's vagina like absolutely slays me. And then the way it said, the head has to move down your pelvis. I'm like, what? I don't get how. There's so much about this I don't want to get understand. How, Jen. But then she basically had to like hold the baby and then just kind of like, I guess, this is not the right way to say it, but like pop the baby out because.
I know. I thought she was going to like, put it off.
Like, I thought you would just go and, like, the baby would come out, but I'm making a motion. But basically, then she had to, like...
No one needs to see that motion.
Jen. She had to, like, lift the baby up to, like, get the head to kind of, like... I don't know. I don't know what I'm describing here, but if you watch the episode, you'll know. But it was wild to me. The breaches are just wild to me. Sorry.
Yeah, I can say.
But she did it. And the husband, it was very sweet, too.
People do sometimes elect to have twins naturally, and then quite often the second twin is breech, isn't it?
I don't know.
Is that a thing? Okay.
Yeah,
I don't know about that, but
again, every twin mum I know has had a cesarean because that's what they advise.
Yep.
Just personally, I've not known anyone have twins naturally. Actually, my husband's dad was a twin and they were born naturally, but neither of them will breech because I asked.
My cousins were twins.
They were having twins.
And I don't know if they were. I don't know.
The funniest thing I've ever experienced, the fact that you asked whether one of them was breech, was my niece and her friend explaining the story of Mamma Mia to me.
Oh God!
Wait, what?
They were I can't remember how old they would have been at the time, like 8 or 9, and they were explaining the storyline to Mamma Mia to me. And then we got onto the fact that there was a Mamma Mia 2 when she has a baby. And what did they say? I think they just went, did they cut the baby out or did it come out of a VJ?
I'm surprised she didn't get any questions about the fathering. When my Babs watched that, she was obsessed with how the babies happened. And she was like, how could there be three different dads? And I was like, let's change the subject. So
How
friend in
could
a
there
class
be
really loves all
three
the
different
songs.
dads?
Yeah. And I was just like, la 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 la, let's talk about something else.
Well, I will say this, and I was fully an adult when I watched Mamma Mia. Now, this was because I was understanding the plot, not because I don't understand how there could be three different dads. But I did kind of struggle for a moment as I was like getting the plot concept because I was like, but once you grasp it.
Well, her little pal is her favorite film, but I don't because she's watched it since she was so young. I don't think she's ever thought about that.
Yeah.
But she was asking her like, so how babies? How does baby? And I was like, whoa, let's change this. Let's turn it off.
She should know from watching Call The Midwife so much.
Well, she should, but she doesn't yet. Anyway, so what should we talk about now?
Well, you had Maria Kalfopoulos.
Yeah,
I
she was saying
don't
how
think
easy it was.
See, Maria Kalfopoulos was like really not a big storyline for me.
No, but the reason that I had an affinity to her is because she said she came from a family of women with thick ankles.
I've written Becky. I knew you were going to say this. And you know what, guys? She doesn't have thick ankles.
Not that I saw. I was like, ma'am, do we need to have a
No,
conversation?
Becky doesn't have thick ankles.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. Also that too, but like I didn't.
No,
think
I don't have a slender ankle. I can't wear an ankle sock.
You can't wear an ankle sock.
I don't know, not really. I don't. No.
Well, you can
Well,
wear
you
anything
can't
want to
and
wear,
you
by the
don't.
way,
They're two
but
very different things. I've got bigger ankles than you, and I can wear an ankle sock.
I was
Well,
gonna say
anyway,
my ankles are massif. It's shocking.
she says she looks like we look like our legs have been put on upside down, and I was
That
like,
is hilarious, by the way. Like I genuinely thought that was such a funny line. I was like, ma'am, roast yourself. That was hilarious.
but also what I loved about this birth was Fred, Tim, and Mr. Galopoulos just sat having a lovely Christmas day in the reception.
and then something interrupts them, and the husband is like, oh, like he really has this like completely dumbfounded look on his face,
Well,
which was
it's
hilarious.
because Dr. Turner asked if Tim wants to watch a forceps delivery.
Oh, that's
Is
right.
it a forceps delivery?
It
Yes,
is, yeah.
That was
Yeah.
Mrs. Wade's. Not Mrs.
Yeah.
Wade's, Mrs. Howe's.
Yeah,
So anyway, let's do her birth really quick then. Just really quick. What was her name? The operator, Maria. She was
Maria.
basically she was like, oh, this is easy, nothing's all right, it's all right. And then there was complications because there was loads of blood, and the baby was breathing but shocked and needed oxygen.
Well, Sister Hilda was because Maria was basically on her knees on the bed.
Yeah.
Sister Hilda's not checking her.
No.
She's just writing notes.
Yeah, but she hung over still maybe from the
Maybe.
shenanigans.
Then she hemorrhages so badly.
It was bad. It was horrible.
And then she was like, don't, you're doing stuff, don't do that, just pray. And I thought maybe that was to make it a bit of more a religious thing for Christmas. Anyway, both Maria and her baby were fine, and they had blood transfusions in the end, and everything turned out well.
The baby was breathing but shocked, so he had oxygen.
Yeah.
I feel like Mrs. Kapopoulos and the lady who had the 5 boys and then, like
Mrs. Wade.
Yeah, I feel like they were.
Why do we keep saying Wade when it's House? Sorry, everyone. I'm trying to rush through these kids' births so we can talk about the wedding. Well, carry on, sorry.
They were really just there to illustrate, like, it's so busy. Like, they weren't really, like, meaningful. Like, even Mrs.
Although you
Chu,
say that,
like,
Mrs. House was pretty comedy. She was a right cow.
Oh, she was, but yeah.
I loved
like when she asked them to go to the post office and she was like, well, we're really not doing that,
I loved
what you're doing.
When the baby got handed off to Tim and she's like, come on, Mr. Medical Student, what have I got?
That was really good.
But he was just threw the baby at Tim to go to Maria's birth.
I know, he really did throw that baby.
I liked Tim's face with the episiotomy as well. Sorry, carry on.
I thought Tim was going to faint. And I was like, you're in medical school.
Same.
Girls, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think I finally understood what a perineum was in this episode. When she said, she says, I think I finally understood officially what a perineum was in this episode, because when the breech baby is happening and she says, she's like, well, am I gonna be okay or something like that? And she's like, well, I'm gonna hold on to your perineum for some reason, I don't know why. And then she's like, what's
it?
Yeah, but then she's like, what's a perineum? And then she says, it's basically the skin that goes. Yeah. So
yeah, we all know, Jen. You don't have to explain it.
Yeah, that's what I say. I knew what that was. Mine
Well,
tore very
I don't
badly.
know. I don't think I like officially really like I don't know that it was like a piece of information in my mind with that much clarity is what I'll say. I mean, if you would ask me like where on the body it is, I would have gotten the right area, but like I just
Not on
don't
the
think
ear.
I right, but I just don't think I like really kind of anyway,
I
separate,
will
sorry.
say, I really was pleased that Mrs. Howe's got a boy, which I know is awful, but she was a cow. And also, I really liked the scene between Sheila and Dr. Turner about their disagreement with Enid
About
because
what?
so she didn't want her to go into the maternity home because she was like, we need to keep that bed free
Yeah.
because it's going to be so busy. And he was like, yeah, but at the same time, there could be loads of complications if she doesn't rest. So it'd be
Right.
busy with her anyway, and actually in a worse situation, the baby being in danger. But I just like the fact they were like, "Oh, it was good."
Differing medical opinions.
Yeah.
There you
Should we talk
go.
about Esme's birth?
I love the name
Don't
Esme.
I know you do love the name Esme. It's getting more
I
common.
know.
I'm going to say this because I don't think the parents will listen, and I don't know who the parents are anyway. My daughter's enemy in life is called Esme. She went to nursery with her, and I don't know why they took against each other. They just did, and she still to this day, five
Sometimes
years
you
on or
just,
something, is like Esme. Ugh, don't like her. And I think,
yeah.
what?
Sometimes you just don't like people. I will
Where was
say that
Esme's birth, guys?
I never heard of an Esme ever until Twilight, ever.
And now you've heard of Esme and Renesmee.
Look,
Yes. But I will say
there's
this
loads of
birth,
people who've called the kid Renesmee, you know.
oh,
Oh,
it's don't get me started. But this birth was crazy. I will say I love the part where she was like, I'm never gonna have any kids. I want to go on the birth control so bad, but the birth control so bad, but the Pope won't let me. And then she has a baby and she's like, oh, I can't wait to have another baby. And I was
That
like,
was
that's
me
okay.
screaming about hating the birth and never wanting to do it again, but I never changed my mind at the end. I
Yeah.
genuinely was like, this is awful. I'm never doing this again. But where did she give birth, guys?
In Matthew's building.
Yeah, in Lisbon
yeah.
buildings,
With
looking
Millie.
all
Yes.
spruced up.
Her apartment did look good actually, you guys.
Yeah.
Like,
And
and she
Trixie and
even
Matthew
says
see
she's
each
like,
other, and he's like, things are improving, aren't they?
girls, girls, girls. There was a look
Yeah.
in this episode, and I
There's a
was
few
like,
looks. There was a few looks in this episode, I think.
yeah, but especially towards the end, like at the wedding, I was like, okay,
But
this
also,
man's
let's not
got.
forget, Jen, that he stayed, offered a lift, and then they walked back together because she had
Well,
advice.
he sat on the stairs and listened. Not in a mood.
I think that was because of Trixie, but I also think that's because he was like dealing with his own stuff. I think
Well,
that was
I
like
did.
multi-layered, is
Yeah,
my take.
yeah, that was mine as well. But you said it better.
Oh.
Also, he probably also was thinking, oh, I can't be asked going to this wedding. Hardly know them. Just fund it. I was going to try and get out of it.
Oh, yeah, they are definitely starting to turn towards each other. Which I will say, I don't know. I know
I
that
th
it's go
I
ahead,
think they're
Beth.
trauma bonded. Well, maybe
I
he's
mean,
trauma bonded.
was that a thing in the 60s?
The thing is, and I'm just going to preface it by saying, like, I appreciate that what I'm about to say is probably judgmental, but it is hard for me to see someone who, in the timeline of the show, lost his wife less than a year ago and is now clearly already beginning to have feelings for somebody
But
else.
I think
Yeah,
that's
but
the 60s.
she's also incredibly attractive.
Yes, she is. Blonde. She's
And so's
got
he.
good
He's
hair.
like, this ain't got a shelf life. Have you seen me?
It's like, I'm putting it to waste. It should be out there doing
Exactly. Exactly. And I'd be doing the same if it was the same thing now.
Oh my God, you guys, can I tell you? I've had this, you guys both know I've been just having it's just been a weird time. But anyways, I literally was in the grocery store today and I mean, you both can see what I look like now, unfortunately, for
Beautiful.
yourselves. Well, thank you. But anyways, I was at the grocery store and I don't know why I had this thought, but I go to the grocery store every Sunday to shop and I always don't look good at the grocery store. And this Sunday I was leaving the grocery store and I was like, you always look so bad at the grocery store. You should really like put some effort into how you look because you're still out and about, right? Like you could still meet somebody.
Yeah. Loads of people meet
I
at the supermarkets.
I know. I would love to meet someone at the grocery store.
Not at
Like
the
that
moment you
is
wouldn't,
my
Jen, because you're looking like a.
well, but this is what I'm about to tell you. So this is
I
like
think she looks cute.
I did actually. When I said that, I
uh
thought, actually, why am I saying that? Because actually, I didn't mean it. I genuinely felt bad.
well, I just don't feel my best. I mean, I look fine. I just, I would like to look a little
You
different,
look
a little
fine.
bit
You
better.
just don't look fine.
Exactly. But here's what happened. So I go out. I literally had this thought. I was like exiting the store. Okay. I walked out to the parking lot. I get to my car and I can see before I get to my car that there's another shopping cart that's like kind of halfway in front of my back of my car and like halfway in front of the car. And so I walk up and I didn't say anything, but this man is like that I don't see is like, "Oh, I'm really sorry. Like, let me move that." And I'm like, "Oh, no, no worries. You're all good." And so he moves it out of the way and then I look at him and I'm like, "Oh, he was so handsome." And I was just like, "Oh no." And I really had this moment where I was like, "Oh my God, I can't
What if
believe
he's a listener? Oh my God. Actually, that might mean he's a stalker. Either way, we'll take it if he's good looking. So,
but then he put his cart away. He literally put his grocery cart away into the little like bay, the little thing that they have where you can like put them.
yeah,
So
we understand that, yeah.
I was like, and then in my mind I was like, well, he's obviously like very nice. He's like a really good guy. I was just so I was like,
Was he reminiscent of Cyril?
no, he didn't look anything like Cyril.
I meant in his mannerisms.
I mean,
No,
I
still.
felt that he had a Cyril spirit because he put his cart away and he said he was really sorry for blocking my car, and I said it's okay.
Right, on to
Anyway.
Cyril. Shall we talk about Boxing Day wedding?
Oh,
How cute was it that Lucille got a locket from her family
Yeah.
with her parents, with photos of her parents on a wedding day? It absolutely killed me. It killed me.
Oh, wait, can we just rewind though and talk about like the pre-wedding? Because
Yes.
first off, I loved. Okay, you go first, Bex. What do you
Well,
want to
this is
say?
the pre-wedding. She got it well before the start of the episode.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
firstly, the hen do, Sister Hilda putting the rum in the punch.
Amazing.
Was it everyone knew
That
the
was so
punch
good.
was spiked?
Yes.
I don't know if they did they?
No, they
But
did. They had to
to,
know.
surely, because they couldn't risk Trixie accidentally drinking some.
They knew.
Yeah, true.
And also, there weren't really any nuns in attendance except for Hilda. You know what I
Hilda
mean?
was off her face.
Oh my God, she was like, la, 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 la. She was proper lush vibes, and it was hilarious because even Nancy. Oh, it was earlier when she like pulled the bride and groom off the cake, which that wedding cake was hilarious. But anyways, she said like something. Nancy said something to her, and she's like, "Well, I was in the Royal Auxiliary Air Force, prior to putting on my nun's habit. Like I lived a life, like I had fun, like I know how to be like a fun person."
To be
And
fair,
that did make
it
me
looked
laugh.
fun.
She did. I mean, it was a great party.
Which was a weird game for a hen do.
What was that? What was the game though? Why were they throwing the presents? I didn't get
Pass
that.
the parcel. Do you not play Pass the Parcel in America?
I've never played it.
Not as
I mean,
an adult. Not as a kid. It's a kid's game normally. So basically, Pass the Parcel is where they play music and then they stop, and then it lands on the person they stop, and it's loads of layers of paper.
Oh.
And nowadays they put sweets in every single layer. There's a Bluey episode about it, right? Where they put sweets in every layer so every person gets a go. But that didn't happen when we were little. It was just brutes, like only the person at the end would win. And also they never used to look and make sure it landed on different kids. It landed on like the same kid like multiple times in the 80s, but now they like make sure it lands on each different kid. And there's literally genuinely a really funny Bluey episode all about it. Anyway, then in the middle is like the big prize, and whoever gets that last wins.
Oh,
but it's very much a kid's game. It's not anything you do at a hen do.
Yeah.
This just shows that it was a nun organising the hen do, basically. That's what I thought about it.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like they threw it to kind of also make sure they had like distanced.
Yes.
Yeah, so they weren't near each other.
Yes. Well, actually kind of makes a lot of sense.
Before we talk about the stag do, just while we're on the subject of Hilda, so Lucille's church are there in the nuns, and they're all talking about organising this wedding.
Mm-hmm.
And they talk about this tradition that they do in Jamaica where cakes of the ladies of the church are made, and they do a procession wearing white, which is really cute. But obviously,
it's really great. Yeah.
Yeah. But Sister Hilda was saying about she's done a cake, and obviously it wasn't going to be used, and she was so salty, like you said. But actually, let's go back to that after the wedding, because obviously after the wedding all the women did it and she just followed them with her cake. That reminded me of something Becky would do.
But honestly, I was glad that she did, because why have the whole thing go to waste? Like, I thought that was nice that she did that in the end.
I think they should have suggested it at the time, but she seemed like
they
seemed
should have
naughty doing
suggested it at the time.
Yeah.
I loved Reggie picking his tie, the fact that he went for the pure silk.
Same.
Well, and I love Violet was like, well, what about this? She's like, here are all the ties you can have, Reggie. You can pick any one you want. And he's like, okay, I want this one. And she's like, how about this one? And he was like, well, what's that one made out? She's like, it's a silk. It's a fake silk, basically. She says it in a nicer way. And he's like, well, what about this one? And she's like, well, that's pure silk. He's like, well, it's a wedding. It should be pure silk. And I was like, I mean, you're not wrong. It was very cute.
I loved that Reggie was totally going to the stag do as well, though. And also, what was the game those Jamaican men were playing?
Dominoes.
Yeah, but they were smacking the
Domino's.
table. Was it just Domino's?
I thought it was just Domino's.
Where they were just
It was
hitting the
very like
table?
lads weekend though. I thought it was so cute. I thought it was so
Same.
cute.
They were all having a dead good time. I loved it.
Yeah, and then Violet like working so hard on the wedding dress and like all the embellishments and like taking
Oh,
her measurements over and over again. Like,
she lost half
oh
an
my
inch.
God. I know.
Can we
I
talk
was
about the
like,
fact that, so talking about the dress, Nurse Crane hung the, no, she didn't.
Oh.
Lucille hung the dress up in their room, and
Yeah.
Nurse Crane's reaction to the dress being hung up, my God, I cried.
I was
my
crying.
eyes
I was
out.
crying. I was crying. I couldn't help myself.
When she said, "Tell me about a wedding," I would have said she had a god awful cape.
He spoke about the cape, and the cape was lovely. She said about the cape being beautiful, and she was not wrong. And she was like, "No one will ever forget Barbara. I have been fortunate to have stepped into her shoes." And then basically, yeah, tell her about that. And then she told them about the double string of pearls that she bought, especially. That absolutely killed me.
Lucille spoke so like she just was pitch perfect the way she spoke about Barbara, considering she didn't even know her.
Yeah. Well, she did meet her, didn't she?
Know her.
Yeah.
Did they pass each other at all?
Yeah.
I feel like we should know this because we're a podcast about Call The Midwife.
And I'm saying yeah, and you're both like, did we? And I'm like, yeah. It's just
But
weird
when
when you're
though?
listening to me.
She had oh, you know what? Maybe she started just when Tom and Barbara came back though, right?
Yeah. Lucille and Barbara were there at the same time.
But only for like an episode or two, I think. I don't think it was more
Um,
than that. I don't think it was like a whole season.
we'll look into that.
Anyways, but it was very sweet. I will say the one line that I was kind of like, and Barbara didn't, sorry, Phyllis didn't take it in a bad way, but she said something like, "Oh, I was her bridesmaid and it was like such an honor." And then she says, "Oh, yeah, I know." She's like, "I'm not having any bridesmaids though." She's like, she's like, "My sisters can't be here and bridesmaids are supposed to have meaning." And I was like, I don't know. The wording of that just was weird to me. Like,
Do you know what? I'm wrong. She came in, she died at the end of series 7, and Lucille came in at the start of series 8.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah,
oh,
so I'm
okay,
wrong.
because I think Phyllis said something about them passing each other, you know?
I think maybe
So,
she's like
I
stepped into her shoe, because she said stepped into her shoes.
oh
I
yeah.
Seemingly went into her old bed as well.
I don't
Yeah.
think Lucille meant anything by it. That it should have. I don't think she was saying
No.
no one's got.
I think she meant if I can't have my sisters who have the most meaning to me, I don't really want anyone else.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's how I ultimately took it. And I will say the way that they resolved it was very beautiful, and then I was really sobbing by that point. But yeah, yeah.
It
So
was so emotional. It was a really lovely scene. And also, can I just say that card that Colette made? Outstanding. Outstanding.
But we need to talk about the fact that Lucille fell up the stairs when they were all drunk.
Oh, Lucille was like totally in the bag. I mean, she came over and got a refill, and like Sister Hilda filled her cup up like all the way to the very top, and she was like, "This punch is delicious." Oh, slurp, 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 and then she
Those
was like,
montages were lols of both the stag and hen do, and then her and Nurse Crane trying to get up the stairs with Trixie behind them was absolute comedy
"Oh, it was
genius.
hilarious! It was hilarious." And Lucille, like the way that they acted that scene, like she hit really hard. And I will say, when she woke up and she like looked in the mirror and was horrified, like honestly, the whole thing with the eyeball was like I felt for her a lot. I mean, even when she said the thing, she like Cyril came over and he was like, "Can I come in, Lucille?" She's like, "No, talk to the door." And he was like, "You're beautiful. You're perfect. You're everything I've always wanted. You're the most beautiful one on earth. It doesn't matter what you look like. I love you so much." Like all this stuff. And she was like, "No, the wedding's off." Like, no, she didn't say the wedding was off. She said if this takes 10 days to heal, then the wedding is canceled.
Yeah, but you know my favorite part of that. So
What?
Nancy let Cyril in the door, and she was like, "Oh God, you should see it. It looks like a slice of blood pudding." So then he gets up to the thing and he speaks to her at the thing, and he's like, "I don't care if your eye looks like a slice of blood pudding." I genuinely lolled really loud. It made my husband jump. And
I know.
Trixie's face was like horrified, and Nancy was like squirming because she knew that she was the one who'd said that. It just absolutely made me lol.
Nancy?
But I also really like the fact that they didn't have any steak in, so Trixie gave us some mince, just some mince to put on her eye under the ice pack, which is
The
rank.
thing is, why is putting red meat on a bruise supposed to help? I don't get that.
I don't know, but I presume it's obviously an old wives' tale. Again, this is about from the conversation about having old wives' tales. This is where this has come. So this is another one that's come full circle from that as well. But my other thing that I loved was Hilda taking aspirin while she was suggesting taking aspirin because she was so hungover from the day before herself.
Well, and she was like really trying to sneak it and just be like, you know, like she just was trying to take it so sneaky.
But also then they were like, "Oh, couldn't you cover it with a veil?" Cyril asked.
Yeah.
And Trixie was like, "We couldn't cover it with a tarpaulin."
And Lucille is just crying. I will say, Sister Monica Jones idea of having the leeches was very good, but the way that like that whole scene was one, way too long, and two, they were like making her so nervous and she was acting so freaked out by the whole thing. And like,
I mean,
I don't
think I'd
know.
be pretty freaked out of having a leech by my eye.
I'd also have to be laid down.
Well, she'd
She
have
was,
a head
I
back,
know,
to be fair.
I know, but I'd have had to have, like, I would have probably fainted.
Yeah,
I'd
I
have
would.
had to have been lied down.
Yeah, but Nancy was. I know you love her, but she really annoyed me in this scene because she was just like, "Oh God, I just feel sick looking at them. Oh, just keep it to yourself, Nancy. You're not helping anyone." Poor Lucille's shaking about 2 days before a bloody wedding day, and you're like, "Oh, that's
Nancy
horrid."
constantly puts her foot in her mouth, though. She just always does
I
it.
think that's why I feel for her so much, because I feel like you would have, the expression on my face would have matched Nancy's, because I would
probably
have.
would have mind, but she had her eye closed, so it's fine. But you wouldn't have been like, "Oh God, that's awful. That oh, I'm gonna faint" in front of her.
But did you notice when Reggie was talking to Cyril the night before the wedding, they sneak out and they had the scene in the snow?
Yes.
And Reggie's talking to Cyril and saying that you're getting married, you'll never be lonely. I just thought, if only you knew Reggie.
Oh, also, you
I
guys,
really loved the scene of Reggie in the snow, being all happy about it, and then those two meeting in the snow.
Yeah, I've already said my feelings about their meeting in the snow with the hand holding or whatever,
I
but like,
loved it.
but the thing is that like then when they pivoted to make the snowman, like that was crazy, and the snowball that Lucille was holding was sending me to the moon because it was the most ridiculous, fake, obviously fake
It was
snow.
COVID snowball, so
Oh my God. That snowball. She was literally like squeezing it to her body. Like it was, and then she would just pat it every once in a while, and like the cotton balls that were obviously being used for it were just like coming on. Like it was the most ridiculous. I was like, I can't even with the snow. The snow that was falling looked beautiful, and the snow that was kind of sprinkled on the ground looked nice. But I'm sorry, that snowball. And then and you know what? They obviously got real snow for the snowball fight because it was like, you know, like when you throw a snowball and it like crashes against you and it like, you know, that was real snow. But they clearly couldn't spring for like enough snow to make a snowman, and so they.
Can we just talk about Cyril seeing her face for the first time since she had it? So he hadn't seen it and he was all worried the wedding wasn't going to be on and stuff. So he was like concerned about it. And when he saw her face, his face lit up and her face lit up and he was like, perfect, just perfect. And it was just it was gorgeous. And Mother Mildred made me lol though, because she was like, oh, a miracle. She said, if it didn't work, prayer will have failed. I thought, what's the point of saying that? Oh, also we need to talk about the fact that she was supposed to be given away from someone in the church, but then he conveniently broke his arm, so they didn't have to pay an extra.
Yeah. Well, that was obviously always going to be the case, but yeah.
So he was going to be Cyril's best man.
Fred, you're talking about Fred. Fred was gonna be Cyril's best man, but then the guy who was supposed to walk Lucille down the aisle broke his arm.
Yes.
So then Cyril suggested to Lucille that they ask Fred to be the guy who walked her down the aisle.
Yeah, I don't see why he couldn't do both, if I'm honest, but then he was demoted from best man.
Right.
To Reggie. To be fair, I was loving Reggie being best man. That's lovely.
But then when Cyril walked him home, that's when he asked him to be best man, and it was so sweet. It was so really sweet. I mean, Cyril just continues to be the sweetest person.
Do you like him?
So touching.
So then it was the morning of the wedding. Exciting.
Yes.
And the pearls.
I did love this. Wait, sorry, what are you going to say?
Talking about the pearls that she got the pearls out.
This is what
through her drawers.
She's gone through her drawers, got the pearls out.
I mean, I'd do that to you.
It's the way Phyllis goes, what's this? Not, it's my box of pearls.
Maybe she thought it was something like a gift. You know what I mean? It was like, oh, that conveniently looks a lot like my pearl box there.
She did say she'd not opened it since, so maybe she didn't recognize the box, so she's only had it once. Opened it once.
Yeah, she forgot. Yeah.
I will say, I'm going to be
once,
guys. I'm going to actually be quite schmaltzy. She was saying, but wear your pearls for Barbara, as love lasts longer than life and friendship never dies. And guys, our friendship's never going to die because we've got this podcast.
Yeah, but we are running out of episodes soon.
Yeah, but we can always listen to this. I've said this to my husband.
Exactly.
When I die, you can listen to this.
Generations from now, when we're just all robot bodies and everything, like our podcast will live on and everything. It's really nice.
Speaking of robot bodies, I'm just going to do a really quick thing. I've told you to this story, but I'm just going to say it on here really quick. My daughter is really, really fussy about her hair, how she likes it, because I've no idea why. She's just really, really headstrong. And she doesn't want her hair in a high ponytail. It's a long story. Didn't want to have in her hair. It's a long story. Knits are going about in a class. She's had a kids' party today. I'm like, you're wearing your hair up to a trampoline party in a high ponytail with a plait least likely to get knits. We had the
She looks
huge
so
episode.
cute.
She
did
really
look
cute.
adorable.
Yeah,
adorable.
but she's just a nightmare about it. Went mental about it. Going mad, crying, trying to put me and my husband against each other. Didn't work. Anyway, but literally, he's on my side. He was like, no, you're doing what Mummy says. It's totally the right thing to do. And then she said, I'd rather have my leg cut off. And then we were like, no, you wouldn't, because then you wouldn't have a leg. And then she said, I'd have a robot one. Like it was...
Like that was just the automatic next step.
Oh, that's all right then. So you'd rather than have your hair up in a ponytail for 2 hours, you'd have your leg cut off, would you? You absolute drama queen. Sorry. Anyway.
She is a very dramatic young lady.
Yeah. Don't know where she got that from. Anyway. So Nurse Crane and Miss Higgins went and did a bit of a mission, didn't they? We didn't really know what was going on.
Oh, but guys, wait, I really cried when the pearls came out. I really cried when the pearls came out. And I was so moved by that.
It was a beautiful scene. It was lovely.
It was really beautiful. It was
and
really
those two, I really like their two relationships in that room together. I really like it.
Yeah, they do jive well. They are a really good match. And when Lucille says, like, even though I won't be here anymore, meaning like I'm gonna live across the street, like I'll still like you've been the best roommate I've ever had, and I love you and all. She didn't say it that way, but that's what she kind of said.
But I feel bad for Phyllis that she keeps just losing these roommates.
Whoa, she's got a room to herself now, though.
Oh, that's true.
Which she deserves.
Mm-hmm. She should really have her own room the whole time.
She bought some throw pillows when Barbara died and made it to her own, but then Lucille came, so she's got her room back. Throw pillows to make it a nice little reading bit.
Mm-hmm.
But Miss Higgins and Phyllis had gathered up 5 bridesmaids and page boys who were babies which Lucille had delivered, which I just thought this got me as well.
I was sobbing.
Oh my God, it's been there that long.
I know.
I was shocked at that. But really she hasn't, because didn't you say she joined in season 8 and now it's only season 10?
Yeah, so that doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, the magic.
Sorry. But I bought it. I 100% bought it when we were watching.
I mean, it's fictional.
And actually, but don't. Okay, now not to like pick out, but the one child,
Kirk.
Remember he had the cleft palate.
Yes,
and
that made me cry. Jen.
And you could see his little scar from the corrective surgery, and he was there, and they were so beautiful. These little girls
and they were like, their
boys.
mums made their outfits, and they would never forget you. And there's May, Angela, and Teddy being well pissed off in the aisle.
And there's a problem with the wedding car. We've not mentioned that. Matthew steps into the breach with just his Rolls Royce.
Yeah. Oh my God, that was like, just kill me with that.
Privilege
like
is showing, Matthew.
Oh my goodness.
Also, I really, really, can we talk about a dress? I really loved it.
Yeah, well, it was my favourite dress.
Beautiful.
Because
it was very like Grace Kelly, I thought.
Yeah, when we did the episode where we talked about favourite dresses, the only thing that I didn't love was her hair. I love Lucille when she had the beehive.
The hair when she started the show, I like better than this kind of like bouffant thing that she's doing these days. And I know this is more of the time, but
the dress reminded me quite a lot of Princess Catherine, Princess Kate. It reminded me of her, apart from with the V-neck. I actually prefer Lucille.
Also, Lucille had like a more of a billowy sleeve. It wasn't a tight sleeve.
Oh, right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't know if I like it.
But no, but it was very similar.
Yeah, I really liked it.
It was
I thought the lace,
dress.
I thought it was really gorgeous. Did they obey though? She said obey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They had very old-fashioned wedding vows, but
we need to talk about their middle names. Cyril Alphonse.
Yes.
And Lucille Priscilla.
Yes.
Comedy middle names.
Also, they were
anybody who's got those names.
No, but
Alphonse and Priscilla, don't be calling in.
They also were standing like 6 feet apart from each other at their wedding, which I thought was, again, crazy.
Chaste.
Crazy. I'm sorry.
Also, the singing was amazing. Reggie's dancing was amazing.
I love
it was joyous.
And
yeah, it was really sweet.
It was really celebratory, which I think the nation needed that Christmas.
Yeah.
It did. Oh, it was a beautiful wedding. And honestly, like the way that Fred did like walking down the aisle, and then the way Reggie had like the rings and everything, and then like you said about Sister Hilda, like all the ladies in white with their cakes came out, and then Sister Hilda literally had like this like white rectangle with like just the bride and groom on top, and she like snuck in at the end, and she was like chasing behind them to like drop her cake off and everything, which was so funny.
I just like them both getting onto the bed, like, whoa, we know what's happening now. But Jen didn't like that. Because obviously they couldn't kiss, so they had to be like, we're on a
Well,
bed.
the thing was, it was
Magic
hilarious.
happens in the bedroom.
But again, and I know it's because of COVID, but like it really kind of just drove me crazy again, the way that they weirdly had their faces like kind of go together. And I mean, again, it was like I know that they couldn't kiss, I guess, but I just was like, you guys, I don't know,
It's
man.
but Jen, it's not as if it's been some like artistic decision, like, oh, let's just look at their faces
Yeah.
really close, but not actually have them kiss. Like it was
It's the
literally regulation.
law.
Okay, I get it, but here's the thing, okay? This it's like it's I'm gonna make it it's like vegan cheese, all right? Here's the deal.
That's not the law.
Sometimes close but no cigar is fine. Sometimes it's just like we just can't have this. We're just gonna do something different. And to me, it's like
Jen, I'm
if
glad they
you
did film.
I just wish that instead of like whatever that was where their heads just kind of like moved closer to each other, that they hit that like when he like sat on the bed and you could tell he
Jen,
was
maybe
like, oh
that's
my
how they kiss in Guyana.
no, it's not. I'm sorry. And he like lays back. Like I wish that she had just like fully just like laid back too, and that they had looked at each other and like laughed and like just grabbed hands and like entwined fingers or something. And then maybe started to move towards each other and then just like the camera like went away or whatever. Like
I wondered if
imply
they'd filmed it at separate times on the bed. One was filmed on half of the bed.
No.
I wondered
well,
if they'd superimposed on the bed because they were quite close to each other, which they weren't allowed to be in the other scenes.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It just to me it like it was weird because it made the thing that they weren't doing more obvious. And I just
But
wish
they
that
were
they
sat on a
had
bed, which intimates they were about to be doing something.
well,
But a lot.
he even said Violet said something about trembling about the wedding dress, and he was like, "Well, I'm gonna be trembling when I see her in the wedding dress," which I was like, "Oh my goodness gracious!" Again, like I just was like, I don't know, it just bothered me. It just bothered me, and I know why, and blah blah blah. I get it, but it just
Nurse
it didn't
Crane's
hit me.
camera shots, absolute amazing. Loved it, loved it. I
They
want a
were.
book of that. I want a whole series of that. Want that.
I know.
Also, I really love an old advent calendar in the show. They had like gratuitous old advent calendar shots. I love them.
Oh, and the little montage where the kids were opening up every day. That
Yeah.
was so cute. That was so cute.
The other
Okay,
thing
wait.
I really loved, really quick, sorry, was
No, go
no
ahead.
sprouts for Sister Julienne. Mother Mildred being like, she doesn't like them, basically being like, discretion is always key with this kind of thing. And I've noticed that she doesn't like them. Absolute howler.
That was good. Wait, you guys, we have to talk about the knitwear, okay? First off, Fred wearing that massive green jumper with white snowflakes on it. Just couldn't even with that. We already talked about the little kids with the two white and then sorry, that's my mom's iPad going off. And then the two white and then the red
Yeah.
one that was going on. Cyril was wearing both some wonderful and some terrible sweaters, which I just could not get over. Sorry. He had on this like beautiful like Fair Isle sweater at the beginning that had like this like multicolors on the top and then it was like green on the bottom. That one was great. But then later on when he was walking to the shops and I think he was with, I don't remember. I think it was when they were asking about the hen do or the stag night or whatever. He had this sweater that like clearly the neckline was massive. Like literally the neckline went to like look like a low cut tie. It was
Yeah.
just a
He's
really
had some questionable necklines.
yeah, and then he had to wear a shirt under it because it was like the neckline was way too big, so he had to wear a t-shirt under it that just like looked weird. And it even like they should have put like a scarf on him or something. Like it just didn't make sense. And then
That
like
was quite of the time, that neckline with a shirt underneath, though.
yeah, and then like Lucille when she had her eye drained, she was wearing that sweater that was like green with like it was like that yarn that like fades into different colors as you like go along, and it had like a little tie that went around it. And I mean, there were just so many sweaters in this episode, and I just felt like just something happened. Like I don't know if just everybody on the cast and crew learned to knit during COVID and they just donated all the sweaters to the show or something, or it was like a thing, but there were just so many sweaters.
Lucille had green mittens in the snow.
Mm-hmm.
Reggie had red and green scarf hat combo.
Yeah, I think he was wearing a sweater a couple of times.
Yeah, there was a lot of
it was just so much knitwear, like everywhere, everywhere. And I just
I loved
had to
it.
call it out. I loved it too, but like some were absolute hits and I was here for it, and then some I was just like,
Right, have we missed anything?
No, I think we've got it. We just need to do heroes and zeros now.
My hero
mm-hmm.
is going to be Nancy. No, it's not. I'm going to stop doing that now. It's Charlie Page.
Oh.
Oh, weird, but carry on.
Because I just thought his reaction was just the total opposite of when he found out that she was basically a heroin addict and now his daughter was also addicted. I just thought it was the total opposite reaction than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah,
just
fair. No, I agree, but also he could also be year zero. That'd be amazing. Carry on.
He could be, yeah. No, I think he was a criminal with a heart of gold.
Yeah,
I mean, you don't get them very often. Carry on.
My 0 is going to be Anita.
For being a heroin addict.
Well, it was things like, what frustrated me was when her waters broke and she was like, I've got ages, but obviously she was high and she didn't know what she was saying. So
she also was a heroin addict while she was carrying a child, so it was very irresponsible.
Yeah, Anita, just, all round. Also, when she said she should have done better than her mum, yes, you should have done better than your mum.
Oh,
I mean, she should have.
I mean,
she lived a very privileged life as well, Jen.
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, through criminal activity, but still.
I'm not disagreeing with Beck's choice. I don't know. I felt bad for her, but yes, I agree. I mean, she never should have done drugs while she was pregnant. She never should have done drugs full stop, but yeah.
Right, who's doing theirs?
You want to go?
Yeah, do you know, I've not even bloody thought about it.
Me neither. I feel like there's so many people and so many things. This episode is really hard to narrow it down.
Right. My 0 is going to be, I was going to say the gangsters, but they were like comedy gangsters, weren't they?
They were just shiny suited.
I've got my 0. It's Mrs. Enid Howe. She was a cow. I hated the way she treated them like slaves. I wasn't into her. She was awful. I'll let a load of heroin pushers and all that go. But this woman was a bit of a bitch, so she's my 0. And then my hero, can I have 2? Well, I don't know who your heroes are yet. But my hero,
you can do 2.
Well, it's going to be, I've got another one if you don't pick them. Nurse Crane and Miss Higgins.
Go for it.
Nurse Crane, I thought, was just an all-round solid good egg. So yeah.
So Nurse Crane and Miss Higgins, though.
Yeah, but then I've also got another one, but I don't want to steal it in case it's yours.
Okay, my 0. Ooh, I don't feel like there were really. Usually, it's so easy to pick a 0. Usually. Oh, you know what? This is going to be really sad, and I'm sorry, but like my 0 is the heroin and it being on the baby. That was terrible to me. Like they got a baby who, I mean, sorry, I know that's really bad, but
it's a good 0. I should have thought of it.
But it's just like the baby that they got for that scenes, like too, like I don't know how they did it, but they made the baby look really thin, and I don't know if they got just like a real newborn baby or if they got like a preemie. I don't know what they did to the baby, but the baby just her arm was so skinny, and like then when she was crying, like it just was heartbreaking, and like it just made me so sad, and then just like to think about May in that situation, and just like, and honestly, Anita is not blameless, like not at all. But I just thought it was so sad. I just really thought it was so sad. So that's my 0. So sorry. Like, I know I brought down the house on that one, but like not brought down the house. Like, I mean, I brought down the tone. Like, I know I made it bad thing. You get it.
Yeah, but again, it's absolutely fine. I'm not that bothered. Carry on.
But anyway,
it's 0. You're going to end on a high.
I know. And then my hero, I mean, there were just a lot. I will say, I don't know that I've done this before. And there were so many people who stood out in this episode, but I'll give my 0. No. I'll give my hero to Sheila because she is just always trying to do the most, and her dedication to like her family is really, really unmatched. And when
it really is, but they did both leave the 3 kids on Christmas Day for a long time.
I didn't give Dr. Turner the hero, I'll tell you that much. He's doing the least for his family most days. But Sheila is just trying so hard, and she's just always doing so much, and like she's always trying. Like, here's what I think about Sheila: she's always trying to think and be like doing like she's always got it on her mind, and I think that's the way a lot of women are. And I think that's the way a lot of men are too, but I'm just going to give it more to women.
I don't think a lot of men are, Jen.
I think women just are like, well, wait, could I do this better? Could I say this nicer? Could I communicate more effectively? Like, how could I like think of something really nice that like, would be like something unexpected for like this person that I love? Like, what if I just did this, or what if I did that, or like, like what if I tied all those things together? I mean, I just think that there's like a lot of mental gymnastics that go on. And Sheila, even when she was just talking to Patrick at the beginning, and she was like, I didn't really know May before, and I wish I did, and like I wish I could have done stuff for her. And she was like talking about a time before she never even met this kid. And it's like, I don't know, she's just such a sweet lady. But I do have to give honorable mentions to basically everybody else, because honestly, like Phyllis and Miss Higgins, like when they did the thing to get those little kids to the wedding, like Violet making that whole dress for Lucille, like, Fred stepping in and being the best man, Reggie stepping in and being the best man again
Yeah,
when then
and
Fred
a
couldn't do
mention
it.
to Sister Francis as well, with the breech birth and everything, being a hero.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
Also, go on.
I will say, even though Cyril and Lucille didn't have their family, I feel like the whole of Poplar kind of recreated that for them.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've also got another hero and zero really quick.
Okay, go for it.
So my zero is Sister Hilda for getting everyone absolutely sloshed so that Lucille fell up the stairs. But also my hero is Sister Hilda for getting everyone sloshed and having an amazing time. So
I love it. I love it. And then I gotta give one to like Matthew too, because I mean, one thing that I really like about his character is that whether he had it before, I don't know, but he is like a very upper crust guy, and he showed up to be a chauffeur for this wedding. However, whatever it is, when it comes to him and Trixie, like he is always just trying to be like the most normal, good stand-up guy.
See those pictures though, Nurse Crane's pictures when they were doing pictures, there was her looking at him and him looking at her.
There were some looks, like, so when Cyril and Lucille were coming out of the church and Trixie was like there, he was like looking at her as well, and I was like, ooh, that's a look. Like they were just giving each other some looks. Oh my God, wait a minute. One of my favorite moments when Cyril was standing at the altar.
Of course it was Cyril. Carry on.
Turned around and Sister Monica Joan like blew a kiss at him or something. It was like, like, don't forget about me, I'm here. And I just thought, because she has got it so bad for him on that show, and it is like, I mean, I deeply relate.
I mean,
but like,
pot kettle black, but
I know, but it was just and he was just like, oh my God, this woman is always on me. It just really made me laugh when she had that moment with him, like, and he was just like, he just turned back and was like, oh, like, it really made me laugh. It was such a lulz moment, but anyways.
So next week we will be recording a recap series special that Jenn is doing, which is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
But we're not
I'm gonna do an amazing job, and you all are gonna love it. And
let's see how many Cyril references are in the series recap.
Only Cyril references.
What outfit was he wearing when he said this? And we're like, we don't bloody know.
Okay, his
tattoo.
His sweater in episode 3.
What sweater brought out his eyes? We're like, we don't know.
Cyril Mad Libs. Cyril is a blank. Give me an adjective. Give me a noun.
Anyway, so next week we'll be doing the series recap. So if you want to play along with us, it's always really fun. It's just basically me and B and Bex going, but it's quite good to edit. And also they seem to be smaller episodes because we have to leave out a lot of the silences of us being like, So yeah. So
I'm trying to come up with some innovations. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, follow us, like us, subscribe. That'd be fantastic. Tell your friends, blah 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 blah. And we shall see you next week for the series 10 recap. Could you believe we're on series 10 already, guys?
I know. Well, so wait a minute. So
we're well into double digits.
So series 14 is airing now for you guys, right? Or is it series 13? 14. Okay, so we still have 3 more whole series before we're going to get to season 14.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, there's a lot to be said for that.
Yeah, and then we've got Downton Blabby and other weird stuff we're going to do, so it's fine.
Yeah, lots of weird stuff.
Don't worry, Becky looks like she's going to cry, so it's absolutely
And also, just never forget, listeners, and the two of you guys, as soon as the new season comes out, we'll be back. Call the Midwife's not going anywhere. I mean, neither are we.
And also, Bex, you're looking sad, but we're friends. It's fine.
Yeah, we're all going to be in each other's lives on the regular, no matter what.
I mean, I won't mind, but you don't even bloody listen. So.
No, I do. Every so often.
Every so often.
How
many episodes have you listened to?
I only don't like to listen because I love to listen to you two. I don't want to listen to myself.
Why?
It just makes me cringe.
Well, it shouldn't. You should be over it by now.
I know.
Well, you don't have to do the editing when it's like, that makes you cringe. I can tell you that for nothing. It's awful. The stuff you can hear yourself do.
And no, every time I start to talk, I have to really think. Don't swallow. Don't make a weird noise. Don't.
Well, I can't tell you. I counted the likes the other week, didn't I? And I was like, there's 134 I got rid of. We still were full of them. So
I never think about it. I'm saying or doing, and it's so clear that I don't.
Well, you say that, you should hear the unedited version.
I know. Well, girls, even sometimes when I listen to the show, I'm like to myself, like I'm saying this to myself, I'm like, Jennifer, you're not saying anything, just be quiet. And I mean, sometimes I am, but a lot of times I'm not, and I'm trying to do better. Because I even just hear myself and I'm like, what are you talking about?
I often think to myself, oh, that is a valid point. The thing is, I'm not even lying. Anyway.
Well, thank you for trying to give me that much grace. You don't have to. It's really, I do say stupid stuff.
No, you don't. I mean, you do. Everyone does. But, you know.
Me more than most, and I'm okay with that.
Why can we never end it, guys? Anyway, yeah, thank you so much for listening. We shall see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye.